Okay, how do you do these intros? What's up, coaches? We got league commissioner here, Kane. We're gonna be doing a quick rundown of basically everything you need to know to get started on a fresh game of Gutter Bowl. Yeah, we're doing this with our buddies at No Bribe Foul.
Yeah, he reached out to you, right, to try to go over some of the rules.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was actually kind of cool. I love working with Blood Bowl players from any edge of the earth. So yeah, getting a message so soon was a welcome surprise.
Yeah, I think you mentioned in your first video about the community of Blood Bowl. I know locally I've talked to like a couple coaches from out of town and other commissioners and tournament organizers, and everyone's been like super helpful, super kind.
Yeah, 100%. And so yeah, with that, this is going to be basically our quickest possible intro to everything you need to know to get going on a game of Gutter Bowl. This is going to basically be a quick little, hopefully, intro to Gutter Bowl, summing up the basic rules and yeah, just everything you need to get going for a game of your own if you're without the highly coveted limited books. So, without further ado, to kick things off, we're basically going to start by looking at your dugout. And I mean, it's pretty simple. You'll notice a few key changes, mainly is in the score as well as the turns. Yeah, Blood Bowl notably has 8 turns in each drive,
Yep.
In each half. Gutter Bowl cuts it down to 6. They're fast, they're bloody, and yeah, pretty usually high octane.
Another difference from regular Blood Bowl is that there's the cobblestone ground in both the sewer and the market sides. So when the ball hits the ground, it bounces twice instead of just once. As well as if you get knocked down from any means, you get another +1 to your armor roll to represent the hard floor that you're landing on instead of the grass that we're used to playing on.
Yeah, it's not Nuffle approved to AstroTurf. Um, Also, the important thing, speaking of Nuffle, there are no prayers to him. No prayers to Nuffle for Gutter Bowl. You're strictly on your own out there. Yeah, as well as the important thing for setup. You'll notice here, my team maybe a little bit short of players for a traditional game of Blood Bowl. That's because Gutter Bowl is played with a roster of 7 people on the pitch, at most at one point in time. So stalling, that's kind of an interesting one. Normally, in like a regular game of Blood Bowl, there is no real penalty for stalling. Not the case in Gutter Bowl. The fans won't put up with it. In fact, if a coach is declared as stalling, then you roll a d6, and on a 2+, I believe, they are
Hit with a brick and taken out of the
yeah,
knocked out, I believe.
justly so, hit with a brick. For a kickoff, it's probably important to note the do's and don'ts. So, say I were to kick off to Kane's half, I can place anywhere on these tiles. You can't place
On the
in
sewers.
in the sewer pits.
On the other side, it's some market stalls, which are in the same place.
Right. And same rules goes for that. You can't place your ball in there during a kickoff.
Also during kickoff, the only way a touchback occurs is when the ball goes over the half. There's no falling off the edge of the field in Gutter Bowl because there's walls surrounding the edge of the field.
The half, or if it goes back this way, because it does actually continue on this way. Yeah, even beyond the end zones. Yeah, but other than that, yeah. So if it were to say hit a wall, you would, I believe, roll the throw-in template. And then, yeah, you roll a d6 to see where it throws in, and then another d6
for the distance.
For the distance.
Yeah, so along the lines of the stalling and the relentless fans, the fans are the ones that kind of dictate the rules of the game because there's no referees present during a game of Gutter Bowl. Games of gutter bowl are usually played by amateurs that have had too many drinks at the bar, and they're just heading out into either the sewer or the market to settle their differences. So no refs means that you can foul without penalty. It's still only one foul per team turn, but you can dish them out without worrying about getting sent off. Additionally, if you have a secret weapon, such as I have over here with the Fanatic or the Bomber for the Goblins, the fans determine whether or not they stay on the pitch. At the end of a drive, you roll a d6. On a 4+, they're safe. On a 1 to 3, they get sent off like they normally would. And if you're doing league play, if you roll a 1 on that dice, there's a casualty roll made against them to represent the crowd going hog wild and beating them up.
That's one of my favorite rules about secret weapons. They just mob mentality kill the guy. Yeah. Onward, if a ball were to hit the wall, you would just use a throw-in template and then place it in the adjacent square, indicating whatever result you were rolling. The other interaction with the wall and ball is players can use it to sort of ricochet the ball off and sort of make interesting passing plays in that way. So if you were to get an accurate pass, you would choose the target square, and then it moves 45-degree angles.
Yeah, so in the book there's a diagram of this. Maybe we can get a cutout of it and post it on the screen.
So an example too would be if I were to throw this ball here,
You use a throw-in template
and I
on the
use
show.
this as my target square,
So if you're throwing from here to here like that,
45-degree angles.
so if it was coming from this way, it would go out to this square next,
Yes.
and then continue traveling down that path diagonally, a d6.
Yeah, 1d6 squares. That's
Yeah.
correct.
And any player underneath the path, after it's ricocheted off the wall, may attempt to do a catch roll.
Yeah, which is so fascinating that, like, if you did have like a clustered up tile of players here, which is it does happen, that every player along the line could try and get their grubby little mitts on it. It definitely captures the chaos of the game, I think.
I think there's one more thing to do with the wall. When you're doing the throw teammate action, like with a troll and a goblin, if you end up scuffing it so bad or decide that you're trying to get the goblin into the wall to kind of ricochet him into a big pile of bodies to kind of do a bowling pin effect, after you throw him and he hits the wall, he's going to take a +1 to the armor break, and he's going to automatically fall down after coming in contact with the wall.
Yeah, it's hard to not get hurt when you get pasted to a wall for sure. And then, yeah, lastly too, if your pass is inaccurate, you roll a d6. So say your target square was here. On a 1 to 3, you move it to the left. On a 4 to 6, it is moved to the right. And that just would sort of slightly alter the path that your ball would travel on, representing, again, the inaccuracy. Moving on to the pit.
Oh, the sewer pit?
Yes, 4 sewer pits on the pitch.
Yeah, so for the sewers side of the pit, there's these open vats of water. Something lurks below. So if a ball ends up falling in the square for whatever reason, when the ball ends up in there, you... where's our ball here? You have to roll the directional, and then it will move along the direction that you get until it's at the edge of the pit to represent whatever lurks below, grabbing the ball and placing it at the edge.
Yeah, so for example, we got a D8 around. A 3. So it would move
Straight up.
straight across to the next immediate tile.
Yeah. You can also be pushed into the sewer pits. That'd be the same as getting pushed into a wall, so it has to be no other available squares for the person to move into as a result of a push action. If they're moved into the water, at the end of each player's team turn, you will roll to determine from a table inside the book.
And maybe just as a quick example of that one too. So if I were to push here and there was no player occupying this square, the goblin will be pushed here, not into the pit.
Yeah, it would have to have someone blocking.
Or the alternative is if you push directly straight forward into the pit.
So the only 3 results is all water.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So it's on page 21 of the rule book for Gutter Bowl. And it's a d6 roll. On a 1, a casualty roll is made. On a 2 and a 3, you just end up staying inside the waters, unable to climb out until another turn. On a 4+, you roll a d8 on yourself, and then you act as though you are the ball and get placed on the edge of the sewer pit.
And as tempting as it is to jump in the water, being pushed in is the only way a player can move over or into a pit. You can't willingly move across it or... Yeah, moving on. So the kind of interesting part about Gutter Bowl is the fact that like technically it's the same dimensions as a like regular Blood Bowl pitch, but these pits make lanes, and then within these lanes there are these 4 barricades. And these barricades actually have like a pretty important bearing on the outcome of the match if you can use them correctly. Kind of interesting. So if you wanted to move over a barricade, there's 2 ways you can go about it. Like most things in life, you can do it safely or you can do it recklessly. If you do it safely, it's going to cost you 1 more square of movement, so for a total of 2. However, if you don't want to take it safe, you need to get the most out of your space, you can roll a d6 to essentially try and bash or jump, dodge over it. On a roll of 2+, you're good, you made it over. However, if you roll a 1, just like a go for it, you would fall over in your target square, and then an armor roll is made with that +1 because you've fallen over onto the hard ground. Yeah, and then lastly is just blocking across the barricade. If you want to grab that.
So if you're blocking across the barricade, like if the goblin and the thrall were going at each other, if the goblin tried to do a block over the barricade, the thrall would get a +1.
Ooh. So
and then if it was the other way, they'd be equal in strength.
Right. Yeah, so it's kind of important if you want to, if you're playing like a stunty team. Stunt teams are really hard for Gutter Bowl, and like using that little buddy, that defense system in the barriers can really make or break the skulls of your goblins for sure.
Barricades also count as walls when performing a block action. So if you would hit someone from the other side straight into the wall, a result of a push, just like regular walls, you would do a 4+ roll to determine if it was a regular push or it would turn into a POW.
Yeah, so say if you did happen to get a push result on this guy, you would roll the dice. 4+, he stands up. On a 1 to 3,
he goes down.
He goes down, and you make your armor break normally as you would.
Also, when you perform a block and you get a POW result and you're up against a barrier or a wall, the player can't move past it, so they fall where they stand.
Yeah, and that basically is just like, in a hockey game, for those Canadian fans out there, when a guy just gets crunched up against the board and he just basically folds where he stood, that's essentially the equivalent. Yeah, nice. And then lastly, we want to go over the weather table, just a quick rundown.
Yeah, there's special tables for each side of the Blood Bowl pitch for this. There's also different kickoff event tables for each side. For the street side, there's clouds of smog if you end up with snake eyes. Yeah, so the city's industrial district is working at full speed and churning out thick smog, making it hard to see. So at the start of each drive, when this is in effect, each coach rolls d6. On a 5 up, they may immediately set up one additional player from the reserve box. So it's much like the swarming ability.
That's really cool.
Um, addition: only quick and short passes may be attempted, so it's much like the Blizzard.
Hmm.
I don't think we've ever got that. Should have thought of what I was saying before I started to speak. Next is howling winds if you end up with a 3 on the result. Strong winds whistle down the street, making it difficult to pass the ball. So you get a -1 when you're trying to pass. 4 to 10 is a normal day, which has no effect. On an 11, it begins a sudden downpour. That is a result of a -1 when attempting to rush or pick the ball up. If you end up rolling double sixes, it's a stormy night for the street pitch. Thunder and lightning. Roar. There's a risk of a lightning strike. At the end of each coach turn's team, roll a d6. On a 1, you randomly select a player on your team, and they immediately fall over as they are struck by lightning.
Every team turn.
Every team turn.
Wow.
Well, and let's see what the fresh ones on the sewer half is. So on a 2, if you're playing on the sewer, the sewers become pungent, and the stench has become eye-wateringly disgusting. Randomly select one player on the active team at the end of each team turn. The selected player is immediately placed prone. The foul stink overwhelms them.
I wish they had some caveats for like Nurgle teams or like Skaven, the ones that were so accustomed to being in the sewer. But alas.
So if you end up rolling a 3, influx of sewage gets splashed, making the cobblestone slippery underfoot. So you get a -2 penalty when attempting to rush. So not only is it's a 4 up to get a rush then, -2.
Yeah, wow. 4 up to rush and a pretty hefty price to pay if you take a tumble on hard ground.
Yeah. So 4 to 10 is no more disgusting than usual. It's just regular, no extra rules. If you end up rolling an 11, it's pleasant weather on the surface makes it kind of hot down in the sewers. You get a -1 when attempting to pick up or catch the ball. 12 is underground heat wave. Roasting weather topside is making the sewers like an oven. At the end of each drive, roll a d6 for each player on the pitch. On a 1, that player passes out and may not be set up for the rest of the next drive.
Oh,
I feel like we've gotten a lot of normal days and
tons of normal days. Well, stinky, but normal. Nothing
we
that
haven't
like.
gotten much of the other results. We'll have to maybe just play a game where we stick those on there and see how they play out.
Well, I can tell you how the oven bake one would play out pretty badly. Huh, fascinating. And then I guess we'll just run through the kickoff event table.
Both of those guys.
So just like a regular game of Blood Bowl, you're gonna roll 2d6. On a 2, we get a Tentacled Terror. The commotion of the game has disturbed whatever abhorrent entity dwells within the depths of the sewer. The creature is not best pleased. So both coaches roll a d6. The coach that rolls lowest randomly selects one of their players on the pitch, and the player is dragged into the sewer by the creature and removed as a casualty. So wow, you make a casualty roll for them. Crazy. So yeah, basically just H.P. Lovecraft.
Entity just comes up, grabs you, and takes you down.
Yeah, nice. 3 is a riot. The fans are giddy with excitement and want to get stuck in the fray, much to the player's displeasure. So roll a d6 for each player on the pitch. On a 6, the players are immediately placed prone and stunned. That's savage. So you could potentially get like a bad weather group and some rowdy fans that just like stun like a 30 a team. Crazy. Sudden stink. A loud rumbling is quickly followed by a grotesque guff on the halfway line, which players from both teams swear wasn't them. Players that are set up on the line of scrimmage are pushed into the square directly behind them. If there's another player in the square they're being pushed to, that player is also pushed into the square directly behind them, and so on. So that was a result of 4. On a result of 5, we have bats. The kick has angered a family of bats that were snoozing on the sewer roof and are about to enact some vengeance on the players on the pitch. Yeah, definitely not friendly. Both coaches roll a d6. The coach that rolls the lowest randomly selects one of their players on the pitch. The player selected is immediately placed prone and stunned. I also feel like vampires should be immune to that one, but I digress. So number 6 would be get ready, lads. As a kickoff happens, the defensive team takes advantage of the dim sewer lighting to gain a quick advantage and make their move. Each open player on the receiving team may immediately move 1 square. Not bad. 7 is cheering fans. I believe this one exists in regular Blood Bowl as well.
Yep.
So those familiar will be familiar with this. The fans are completely behind their favorite team, spurring them on to get the win. Both coaches roll a d6 and add their fan factor to the result. The coach that rolls the highest immediately gets 1 extra team roll, but only for the drive. And if it hasn't been used in the end of the drive, it's lost. In the case of a tie, neither coach gets the team reroll. 8, you change the weather, so you make a new roll on the sewer weather pitch table and immediately apply the result. If the result is no more disgusting than usual, as a result of the roll, the ball will scatter before the landing.
Kind of like the same as what happens when the...
Right.
However, that is only for the 4 to 10, so if it gets one of the negative ones, it doesn't scatter.
Doesn't. Which is kind of interesting. I like that circumstantial nature of it. Just about at the end here, 9 is sticky sludge. The ball. We've gotten this one so many times.
Yeah, it's like
yeah, I guess
the majority of it.
With the arc of dice odds, that's what you're likely to get. The ball hits the roof, comes down covered in some mysterious black goo. Though this sticky substance makes it far easier to pick up the ball, it becomes almost impossible to relinquish it without some help. For the duration of the drive, players receive a +1 modifier when attempting to pick up the ball. However, a player in possession of the ball may not make pass actions. Important to note, you can still hand off the ball.
Yep.
And again, I think that's kind of what they're touching on in that little blurb where it says you can do it with a little bit of help. I think that's kind of what they're aiming for.
Hand the ball off, and the other person yanks it with their catch roll from your hands to theirs.
Black market dealer. We love this one as well. So a concerned passing Kane shakes his head. A concerned passing merchant has handed out some samples of his wares to the coaches in a bid to drive up sales.
This is a guy that wants to cheat the game and give poison to the team that he wants to lose.
Yeah, he made some bets. Each team immediately receives 1 free lesser magic potion, as described on page 29. Yeah, now be forewarned with these, they could potentially kill your player. Or do nothing. Yeah.
Equally as bad.
Number 11, fresh sewage. Fresh in quotations. The latrines in the city have all been emptied and the waste is rushing down the sewer, with those playing risking getting showered in yesterday's lunch. Any player within 2 squares of a sewer pit is immediately placed prone. So in that instance, like, all these guys would be, and these guys are...
Anyone in the... actually, there's a safe zone down the center lane.
Yeah. All those guys. He would be just on the exterior. And then lastly, 12, a swarm of rats. Sewer rats may not like the surface dwellers, but they do like how they taste. Should any player stray too close to the sewer walls, their toes might get mistaken for a tasty treat. For the duration of the drive, whenever a player finishes the activation in a square next to a wall, roll a d6, and on a 1, the player has been swarmed by rats and immediately falls over. It does not cause a turnover unless the player was holding the ball. And that's kind of merciful. You don't usually get that mercy from Blood Bowl.
I was going to say maybe Skaven should be immune to that, but Skaven are known to eat each other, so never mind.
For tournament play, keep it to the rules, but I honestly think that if you're playing at home, you should make a couple of notations. Vampires are immune to bats. Skaven are immune to rats. Nurgle is immune to... Stink, something that rhymes with gas.
So we're going to go down the street pitch kickoff event next. Is that the plan here?
Yeah, I know that for their tournament it's just sewer, but for the sake of the video, let's do the street pitch, and that way it's sort of summary for everyone.
So if you get a 2, it's falling roof tiles. So randomly select 1 wide zone. So the wide zones are the areas between the line of skirmish and the wall. On the sewer side, it's noted by this post, and on the market side, if we can flip this over.
Yeah, these look like little pipes or something they got going along here to denote the side zones.
Yeah, we all know that cardboard Blood Bowl pitches sometimes are hard to distinguish where lines and stuff are, but I don't think I'll be able to show it on that side. Or maybe they have a very thin line kind of going down on the market side to denote where the
Oh, that's hardly even visible on that one.
Yeah, they need to maybe do a better job of showing it. But if you're in one of the randomly selected wide zones, you make armor rolls as tiles are falling from the roofs on the market. If the armor roll is successful, make an injury roll as normal. Number 3 is the fans are giddy and they cause a riot.
Well, that's same for the sewer one, isn't it?
Yeah, they're giddy with excitement and they want to get stuck in the fray.
Yep. Perfect.
4 is quick attack. While the ball is high up in the air, one player sees an opportunity to get stuck in right away. One player on the kicking team may perform a block action before the first team turn begins. Number 5, which I feel like is the most common one that we get, is the rogue washing line. One of the clotheslines above the street has come loose. The washing has fallen onto some players. They must untangle themselves from an array of underpants and linen before being able to carry on. So both coaches randomly select a player on the pitch. The selected player cannot be activated during the coach's next team turn.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Number 6 is this round's on us. I feel like we also get this one quite frequently.
Yeah.
If you're KO during this drive, you roll a d6. On a 4+, you're placed in the reserve box instead of being knocked out, as you've been given some refreshments.
Little Bugman's brew.
Number 7 is cheering fans. Add your fan factor to a d6 and a roll-off for a reroll. 8 is changing weather. So we roll on the street pitch weather table again. If it's a normal day, it will scatter. So kind of the same as the sewer pitch, where the ones that are effects don't cause a scatter. We got loose dogs for number 9. A number of stray dogs have made their way into the pitch and began causing havoc, chasing the ball and going after players' legs. You're no longer allowed to use a team reroll when attempting to pick up a ball or make a block action. Number 10 is a black market dealer. That was kind of already explained on the sewer side. A fellow comes and gives some lesser potions out. And 11 is furious neighbor. Not every citizen is a fan of Gutter Bowl. Certainly not Mrs. Miggins on number 12, who's making her annoyance of the racket known to the players. So both coaches roll a d6 and add their fan factor to the result. The coach with the lowest selects a player, and they're immediately randomly selects a player, and they are immediately KO'd as a flower pot flies straight to their noggin.
Miss Miggins has hands.
She sure do. Number 12, the guards are coming. So the noise and the antics of the game has got some unwanted attention. So each coach randomly selects one of their players. On a roll of you roll a d6. On a roll of a 3+, the player evades the city watch and remains in the game. However, if you roll a 1 or a 2, you are identified as a rebel rouser and promptly arrested. He is removed and misses the remainder of the game.
Oh, so potentially devastating, especially in a format where you've only got 7 players on a pitch. And even if you do have guys on the bench, which hopefully you do, you've only got maybe 1 or 2.
Yep.
Brutal.
We can go over some inducements next, or...
Yeah, inducements I think would be a good call.
Yeah, so Gutter Bowl has their own list of inducements. We're going to start with some magic potions. There's 2 types you can get, one for 50,000 gold. This one kind of has effects that lots of them recover people from being knocked out. You use them at the start of a drive before setting up your players on the pitch. And you pick a player to feed the potion to, and you roll a d8. So on a 1, you get Manticore Venom. It's highly toxic. The player is removed from the game, and you make a casualty roll on them. On a roll of a 2, you get a glass of water that does nothing.
Slightly better than death.
Slightly better, yeah. 3 is a nice blood and bootlaces IPA. It's beer. However, after drinking it, you gain the bonehead trait and a -1 to your agility characteristic for the remainder of the game. Additionally, if you were knocked out, you recover. So you come back from being knocked out, but you got bonehead and -1 to your agility, which for some players is crippling.
I mean, for most, it's not. I mean, for nobody loves bonehead and -1 to agility, but yeah, for some, it would be he's gonna basically become a tree man for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Tree man mobility.
Healing Bomb is for number 4. If you're knocked out, you recover. Otherwise, there's no effect. 5 is a Fungus Broth. You gain projectile vomit for the rest of the game, and if you're knocked out, you come back. 6 is Warpstone Whiskey. So this player gains Jump Up and Leap for the remainder of the game. However, you must be the first player that activates on your team's turn if they're able.
Yeah. You probably... Yeah. You remember that last video we did where I had that stupid little skink and he kept getting in the way. I would try and do the most inconspicuous moves for him because he had to move first, and then no matter where he'd be at the end of the pitch, he was always in the way of some play or another. It was, cool because... I can't even say it was cool. I never used his abilities.
Yeah, I never got to use the Jump Up or the Leap. It was the negative effect that kept getting it. That one also wakes him up from being knocked out.
Yeah.
Number 7 is the Bugman XXXXXX. Bugman comes in and feeds him a brew, and he gains the Pro skill for the rest of the game. And he comes back from being knocked out. So Pro is actually pretty good.
That's the difference between Bugman's brew and just a regular bit of ale.
Yeah. So if you roll an 8, you get one of the 100k potions.
Oh, really?
And then you roll again on the other table. So the other table is for the superior potions.
And these cost 100,000 as opposed to just 50,000.
Yeah, so this one is any player that's fed one is recovered from knocked out, regardless. It's the same timing. You do it before you set up for the drive. Do you want to go through these ones?
For sure. So also, just a D8 worth of options. The first one is Potion of Endurance. So a thick, stone-colored draught that seems to be toughen up anyone who drinks it. The player improves their armor value by 1 for the remainder of the game. Additionally, the next time this game, the player would suffer a casualty, he'll be knocked out, which is pretty solid. Pretty solid. Potion of Mutation. Oh, okay. Quite what will happen when a player drinks this potion is uncertain. But sometimes a player just has to roll the dice. The player immediately gains a single random mutation for the remainder of the game, which is on page 74 of the Blood Bowl rulebook. Though if they get a skill they already have or cannot use, they may re-roll again, which is kind of nice that, they don't just waste your potion on you. 3 would be Potion of Accuracy. By drinking this clear, almost sparkling liquid, a player seems to be able to see far better than before and make seemingly difficulty throws with ease. The player improves their passing ability by 1 and does not suffer any modifiers for the range of a pass when making a pass action for the remainder of the game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
on the right player,
even if you get it on a troll, I believe that counts towards the throw teammate action.
Yeah.
Which is a passing.
That sounds about right. If someone knows otherwise, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, that we could be wrong there.
But as far as we understand, that does apply for throwing teammate as well. 4 is Potion of Intelligence. The player seems to be able to read the game with a newfound sight, directing their teammates and avoiding incoming blows. They gain leader and sidestep skills for the remainder of the game. That's actually really strong because not only do they gain leader, which is the reroll, but they also gain sidestep, which is going to kind of help them stay alive. Potion of Grace is number 5. The pale blue elixir gives its drinker improved reflexes, perfect for skipping their way past opposition players that get in the way. The player improves their agility by 1 and gains a sure feet skill for the remainder of the game. So a lot of these actually give you 2 abilities
for the whole game.
For the whole game that really kind of pair well with each other, things that you would normally pick for yourself. Mm-hmm. Number 7, Potion of Strength. The potion causes the player's muscles to bulge as they seem to look bigger in a matter of moments. The player improves their strength by 1 and gains a stand firm skill for the remainder of the game. So again, you just get a big, hulky dude, and you place that on the right guy. There's no real wrong one for strength to go up by 1.
Nope.
That one's a good one. And lastly, 8 is Potion of Rage. The bright red draught burns all the way down, causing the player to roar with anger and unleash their fury upon any that get in their way. The player improves their strength by 2 and gains a frenzy skill and animal savagery trait for the remainder of the game.
Animal savagery is the one you really have to pay attention to, because with only 7 players on the pitch, if you fail a couple of those, killing your own guys really sucks.
Really sucks, especially with a guy that like you put a 100k potion onto and really had high hopes in. Especially he's got what +2 strength, so chances are you're gonna do like a 3 die block on your own dude.
And the frenzy skills, so you have to be really cautious about all these sidestep, dodge scenarios where you could end up getting trapped.
And especially, yeah, frenzy is so huge in a game of Gutter Bowl because you have all these different lanes. Right? Like if you're going up against Snotlings, they could really pull you into any lane and set you up for an easy push and just kind of get you knocked out of the game without actually having to land a POW on you. So yeah, done well, you can really play around with the lanes and barricades that the field offers you.
There's just a couple more inducements. It's quite a cut down inducement list from regular Blood Bowl. There's no star players in Gutter Bowl either. You can't induce them whatsoever because this is the amateur league and they would not be caught here.
Yeah, it's a bit below their pay grade.
And the apothecary that you can get, his name's Sawbones. He works a little differently than a regular apothecary. Immediately after a casualty roll is made against your player, you may declare that you're using Sawbones. You roll a d6 for the player that he's administering aid to. On a 2+, you follow the steps that are coming up next. On a roll of a 1, the player dies immediately. Result as the Sawbones erotic methods have proven fatal. Holy, struggling to get through that.
So 1, yeah, he just basically cuts your dude's head off.
Oops.
Not how I meant to go like that.
So if you don't roll a 1, then it goes much like a regular apothecary where the opposing coach rolls 2 rolls in the casualty table and you pick the lesser of the 2 evils. If you get a badly hurt, he's being able to patch up the player. He pumped him full of painkillers, and he's moved from the casualty box to the reserve box. And I believe that works in league play as well as tournament and exhibition games, which in regular Blood Bowl, that's only the case in a game of exhibition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Regularly. Oh, that's kind of forgiving.
He just does it so he's just badly hurt, and he still counts as a casualty.
Oh, interesting.
The next inducement that you can get is the snack stand.
Sure. Yeah.
Pick that one.
Snack stand is also 100k, so 100,000 gold pieces. So a team that's purchased a snack stand gains these. When rolling a knocked out for knocked out players to recover, they receive a bonus of +1 to the roll. Additionally, whenever your team uses a reroll, roll a d6, and on a 6, your team is so delighted that they have been provided with their favorite snacks that the team reroll is free and will not reduce the number of team rerolls that have been used. So that's kind of awesome.
It's like a beer keg and
a cheerleader, right? Or isn't that what a cheerleader, right?
We'd have to look into what the actual thing is, but there is something that if you roll a 6, you are able to keep your reroll.
Mm-hmm. Mascot. It's a mascot. We got there.
From the Death Bowl supplement.
Yeah, which
Death Zone supplement.
Death Zone is just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It adds fun to every game. We've still yet to play a giant match, but I'd love to get one in there. All right, next one is a novice wizard. So it's also 100k. Most of the things are. So established wizards have grown to enjoy the finer things in life. It certainly wouldn't be caught dead at a Gutter Bowl game, as is the case. Being spotted at one would be a social suicide for such an elite mage. That doesn't stop their proteges turning up to watch, though. They don't have a reputation to protect yet, and many of them will use these games as a way to practice their spellcasting in the hopes of one day being able to influence proper Blood Bowl games, much like their tutors. So, unlike their tutors, however, these guys are very novice. So once per game, a novice wizard may cast one of the following spells. These spells are always cast at the end of a friendly team turn, before the opposition's next team turn begins. So Firebolt. The wizard unleashes a small fiery blast towards a target in the hope of knocking them over, though their aim isn't as good as they may claim it is. So choose an opposition player anywhere on the pitch to be the target of the spell. So it could be anywhere on the whole pitch. Roll a d6. On a 3+, the player has been hit by the spell and is immediately knocked down. On a 1 to 2, the spell will hit the closest player to the target regardless of which team they're on. If there are multiple players that are closest to the target, randomly determine which of them has been hit. The players hit by the spell immediately is knocked down.
Second spell is the one that gets everyone to bring the frog minis to the
Yeah,
game store.
you're going to want a frog miniature for sure for this one, because it's transmutation, and it's my personal favorite. The wizard attempts to transform their target into a frog. At least that's their intent anyway. There is every chance that some other player may be going ribbit before long, so choose an opposition player anywhere on the pitch to be the target of the spell. So again, no range limitation, you choose anyone. Roll a d6, and same thing, on a 3+, the target player has been hit by the spell and is immediately transformed into a frog, which has movement 5, strength 1, edge 2, and an armor value of 5. No passing value because it has no hands. The other skills it has is also dodge, leap, stunty, titchy, and very long legs. Of course, if they're holding the ball when they're transformed into a frog, it's dropped and bounces. If the frog suffers a casualty, it always counts as badly hurt, and it cannot be patched up by sawbones. It says in parentheses, they can barely work on an ordinary player, let alone a frog. And at the end of the next drive, a player that has been transformed into a frog will automatically return to the normal as the spell wears off. However, they will still be knocked out or casualty if they have been one as a frog.
But it's only a badly hurt, so maybe don't do it on someone that you're trying to take out for your league.
Yeah.
If you're in a tournament setting, then the
Frog
casualty
it.
away.
Yeah. And on a 1 to 2, the spell will hit the closest player to the target regardless of which team they're on, much like the Firebolt. And again, if there are multiple players closest, you randomly determine who's hit and turned into a frog.
And that's about it for the inducements.
That's it for the inducements. Just important to note that rerolls across the entire board, 100k. Doesn't matter what team you're on, doesn't matter how close you are to the commissioner, 100k rerolls.
Also, in a regular starting game of Gutter Bowl, it's only 750k treasury, but tournament packages may vary on determining
team tiers and whatnot.
Team tiers and starting monies.
Yeah, but that's about it for hardcore rules. Not bad. Well, there it is. That's
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. That's everything.
You're gonna do a little outro too of
Of course, we'll do an outro. Yeah. Hope you guys love the video. Hope that you excited to play a good game of Gutter Bowl, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We got big things in the works.
Thanks to G Fuel for the sponsorship. Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, but no, seriously. Yeah, No Bribe Foul. Thanks for reaching out. Happy to do this for you, and yeah, good luck on your tournament. And to all coaches out there, good luck on your tournaments.